Hey, this is Paul.
And Wayne.
From the Countdown Movie and TV Reviews podcast.
Folks, did you know that the movie Total Recall was absolutely a dream?
What?
Definitely
It was
was
absolutely
not.
a dream, man. What the heck?
That is ridiculous.
No, it's as well known, but you know what? If you want to hear arguments like this about movies, tune into the show.
We do a countdown every week of a movie or TV related topic.
And also movie reviews.
You're mocking me, aren't you?
No, I'm not, and we should stop using that stupid-ass soundboard.
How dare you? Well, there it is. Check us out on all your favorite podcatchers.
Google us, we're everywhere.
So not a dream.
Hey there, this is John from Pint Comics.
And I'm Lloyd, also from Pint Comics.
And I'm the other John, and you get it by now. As you may know, we sometimes use language on this show that can be described as
Filthy.
Okay,
reprehensible,
Crude.
sure.
nasty.
Oh, yep.
Come on, guys. We all know that it's just plain out gutter talk.
You've been warned. Listen in.
It is the Pint of Comics here with you, Sir John, Johnny Ganache, and the wild and crazy Manster.
Pow!
Pow! Boom! Bit bam! And our guest for the evening, wow,
bam, pow.
he's not even a guest. He's literally, I figured it out. I was looking at it the other day. In the year 2019, we put out. I would assume probably maybe I'd say 45 brand new shows, let's say, weekly, but we had a couple that were radio episodes. I think Larry was on 13 of them.
Fuck yeah.
So Larry, you're basically like co-host number 4.
Love it.
You just come and go as you please. You got your own, we got, Scary Larry's House of Horrors, our Pint of Horrors, pardon me. We had Scary Larry's House of Universal Horror. We're also going to soon have the Little House on the Larry episodes. We're going to go through every episode of Little House on the Prairie, and we're going to do a 4-hour podcast on each one. It's going to be incredible.
I can't wait for that.
It's going to be really good. It's going to be really good. But Larry's here joining us tonight for the next episode. Was that like Barney Miller? Or was
No,
that
that
Little
was
House
a
on the
theme
Prairie?
song from fucking Little House on the Prairie.
Okay.
I couldn't remember it.
Yeah.
Now you do.
Yeah, well, now I'm gonna go fucking download this shit.
Please do not.
Oh, you should. You should.
This is the next installment of
What's
our
the
comic book.
one at the end of the episode? They had a different
What's
thing.
going on over there?
We can't talk about Little House on the Prairie anymore. All right. That was my fault.
My sister will love me if we talk about it. If we did a whole episode on that, oh my god, the people that would come out like banging on the door, do another one.
One of you guys gets to
Yeah, I
edit.
bet you would.
Yeah, one of you guys gets to edit that one. Someone would. Someone would like it.
Someone would.
This is the next installment of the 100 Proof Book Project. That's right. This is the series of episodes we've been doing where we've been what?
Make him say it.
Yes, Lloyd, you say it.
100 Proof Book Project.
See, it is a mouthful.
Number 2.
It's a mouthful. But yeah, so we're this is where we talk about a comic book, either a graphic novel, a trade paperback, or a story arc of some sort. So today, because Larry's coming on, we've talked to Larry before about he was a comic reader when he was younger, and he enjoyed the Chris Claremont era, which is a big era of X-Men, the early 80s, late 70s, and he's been back and forth through that. So just out of curiosity, last Christmas I had picked up because, a matter of fact, I had listened to an episode of our friendly podcast, Ghost of the Stratosphere, and they did a review episode of this X-Men book called God Loves, Man Kills. And I was always curious about this story. This is the story that kind of pretty popular amongst X-Men fans, and it was the basis for X-Men 2, the second X-Men movie. So I said, you know what, let me ask Larry if he's ever read it, because I had gotten this, I think I had a gift certificate to our favorite website, instocktrades.com.
Oh, yeah, love it.
Check them out, where you're going to get some great deals on comic trades and graphic novels.
Discount comic book service.
That's right,
That's my
DCBS.
service,
Yeah, same thing. I don't want to be a commercial for them. God damn, man. Like seriously, we talked about
They should sponsor us.
we talked about a couple episodes ago that JL the Crisis box lists at $500. It's $350 on Amazon. It's $238 there.
Yeah.
And it didn't fall off a fucking truck.
What the fuck is a crisis box?
Oh, it's this Crisis on
It's
Infinite and
12
Multiple Earths.
hardcovers in a
12
box.
hardcovers.
It's a little horror thing, you know. It's like,
Oh, all right.
It's Crisis on Infinite Earths, which was a big storyline in DC in the 80s.
Oh, okay.
And they did 12 hardcovers in a slipcase box. It's beautiful.
Fucking huge.
It's huge. I did see, as a matter of fact, this week, as the episode that we had put out about that had come out, as we're recording this, I did see, you said someone had gotten a copy and was posting pictures. I saw those pictures. They're spread out everywhere.
Yeah.
It again made me think there's no way I could buy this because, I don't know, I'd have to get rid of one of my couches or some shit.
Is it like connecting covers or anything?
I don't remember seeing connecting covers. I could be wrong. I don't remember seeing that. I was more involved in the sheer volume of this shit.
Yeah,
I don't think
It looked like a fucking comic book store exploded.
Yeah. It's
Doesn't the box open right in the front too?
The box opens up, down. Yeah, it's amazing. So anyway, I had picked this book up and I said, you know what, maybe I'll talk to Larry. Did Larry ever read it? Larry said no. It's 64 pages. I said, you know what, that's a fairly easy read. And would you like to do it? And Larry, you said what?
Sure.
Why not?
Fuck yeah.
Why not?
I said enough of this horror shit. Let's jump into some X-Men.
Let's jump into some X-Men.
Yep.
So
Yep.
right off the bat, Larry, before we start talking about this book and kind of getting into it,
Yep.
favorite X-Men. Who's your favorite X-Men? What character really gets you fucking going?
Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler.
Yep.
So this is a good one for you.
Always been a Kurt Wagner fan.
Wagner. John's a big fan. We did our top 5 Marvel characters at one point, and he was on. I think he was on John's, and I think he was on Jerry Morgan's list too.
I'm not an X-Men fan. But Nightcrawler always was. He's very cinematic on the page.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And then the way they portray him, it's just he's a positive character. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Cool powers, cool look.
Yeah.
Looks like a little devil.
Yeah, he looks like a demon.
It's a Catholic.
And he's a Catholic. You wonder, what is he a demon? You know, you kind of learn it as you go along. We did our year-end.
Well, he's German.
He is German. Yeah. That's right.
I'm not tying the two together. I'm just saying.
No.
Let's calm down.
Let's calm down. They only caused those first 2 world wars.
Yeah,
So
no big deal. No big deal, guys.
Really, Wolverine didn't do it for you? Big old cigar.
Oh, I love Wolverine too. And I always loved the buddy buddy friendship between those two.
Yeah.
I always thought it was very good.
Me loving Wolverine is probably one of my most, I guess, I don't know, like tropey things about me as a comic fan. I do. I love Wolverine.
Yeah, I do too.
I don't fucking care. I love he's that character that is made for everybody to love. You know, like, oh, this guy, he's a tough guy. He's he's kind of a little guy. He's in every fucking book we put out.
Oh yeah, God, yeah.
You know, like there's every reason you should not like this guy, and I'm like, I fucking love Wolverine.
Yeah, he's fucking smoking. He's kind of a dick.
Yeah, he's a total dick. Yeah.
Yeah.
He has this weird habit of always making friends with like the young girls on the X-Men team.
does,
but it's
doesn't
not
he?
nefarious. It's almost like very much like a father-daughter, like Jubilee, and he's done it with other characters as well. But
Ms. Marvel.
yeah, it's just he's just a great character.
Okay.
Great fucking character. Yeah, did you say Miss Marvel?
Yeah, I did.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Which
he
Miss
was friendly
Marvel?
with her in the Miss Marvel book.
Which Miss
Was he?
Marvel?
Oh, was
This
he?
is the latest run.
Okay.
What's her
that
name?
the-
The
Kamala
Kamala
Khan.
Khan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
You say Ms. Marvel, there's like 900 characters with that
Oh,
name.
no, he's
so-
right. She's the current Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan.
I don't know.
Yeah, no.
I don't read any of these shitty Marvel
I don't
books
either,
anymore, so-
but I read that.
Wow. I still read Marvel books. But,
I have a real big problem with the Marvel universe at the present time, so
Okay.
well, you don't like it even like in the past time so much.
it depends.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know anything about present time.
Yeah.
You don't
well, I
want
got
to.
you. I gave you a
It'll
copy of
ruin your
X-Men
brain.
#1.
Yeah.
Yep.
I know
It'll
nothing.
I think one of the next times you come back over, I want you to review that X-Men
Review that
#1.
one?
I actually want to see if you could even like. I'm thinking that's almost going to be indecipherable for someone who hasn't read a comic
I mean,
Think
like
so?
this one?
in years. Yeah. Well, this doesn't. This was just a story that the X-Men happened to be in. Like this is a very black and white story. It is also very. I guess what's the word?
Heavy-handed,
Heavy-handed,
ham-fisted.
but also it speaks to the times.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff that happens in here that but we'll get into that in one
And
second.
it wasn't canon for a long
Until
time.
2003.
Till 2003 when the movie came out, which kind of makes sense. Well, here's the first thing. Here's the first thing we'll talk about. So this came out originally in 1982. It is from a series called Marvel Graphic Novel.
Yeah.
It is number 5. Marvel Graphic Novel was Jim Shooter was the editor at the time, and he decided that they wanted to try these Prestige series European style cardboard cover.
Not Prestige. Prestige wasn't a name that they used.
Well,
then.
I'm just like
These were magazine sized.
magazine sized. Cardboard cover, a little bit different, kind of like what they were doing over in Europe. I'm sorry, the very first one was Jim Starlin's The Death of Captain Marvel. That's the first Marvel graphic novel, which obviously has a big connotation in the Marvel universe. It's where they killed him off. And these things went from 1982 to 1993. and I think they did 75. They did 75 issues of this. Some of the standout ones, or not even standouts, just some examples. Number 1, Death of Captain Marvel. 4, New Mutants, which is the one before this. That's what introduced the New Mutants. Written by Chris Claremont and Bob McLeod. John.
Look at that.
You want my
It
copy?
was audible and visual.
Give it to Larry. He'd probably enjoy
Actually,
it.
I like the New
Did you
Mutants.
all read this before? I know.
I did.
Larry
I
said
hadn't.
no.
I had never. No.
You never did.
This?
And did
No, I'm
Sir
not.
John?
I'm not an X-Men fan, so no.
Yeah, I've never. I've
knew
never
of
read
it,
any
yeah.
X-Men. Really.
Even as a very casual X-Men fan, which I am, I haven't read the X-Men in years. And there's stories I do enjoy. I had heard of this. I had never read it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what's weird is I started reading I remember vividly when I got my first comic ever was X-Men. It was X-Men Uncanny 207 in 1986.
Okay.
In Big Daddy's Deli in Bridgeport, where I would go to get my copies of Fangoria, my copies of Circus, Metal Hammer, whatever metal stuff I read, and also Mad Magazine. And
Screw. Did you get Screw there too?
No,
Al Goldstein Screw.
I did
No?
not. I did not get Screw.
Al Goldstein.
But that
There's a
copy
character.
was on, and I just picked it up and was really interested in it. Took it home and read it, and then started collecting like crazy, going back and buying back issues. I've got tons of back issues. God, I've got X-Men 6, Uncanny 16, and then like 82 through 300, and never even heard of this, which is strange.
Yeah.
That's strange that I've got the giant size annuals
Oh, wow.
and everything, but for some reason this was never on my radar. It's very strange that this was something that I don't own and have never seen.
The graphic
as
novels
an X-Men collector.
at the time, those graphic novels were not well marketed.
Yeah.
The industry was totally different back then. So if you knew about it, you knew about it. If you didn't, you didn't.
Yeah. I never found out about it.
I think it was probably one of their bigger hits as far as that line is concerned. But
When did you say it started? The graphic novel line.
82.
Oh, so was this the first one?
5th.
Fifth one. Okay.
Yeah. There were a couple other examples they did.
it wasn't a thing that people were into back then.
Yeah.
You know, it just they were overpriced.
They were expensive.
Yeah.
It wasn't a story that
was
was coming off
oversized.
of your, it didn't fit in. Like I read this whole thing where someone tries to, I don't remember what website it was, but someone's trying to figure out where this would fit into
Well,
continuity.
didn't they
because
fit it in? They retrofitted it
did
into
later.
continuity.
they retrofitted it, but like if you were to take this at the time this was printed, they said that the actual X-Men team is not this team at that point. It's slightly different.
Oh, yeah.
And they said
wouldn't know.
Scott, I think Scott was in space at one point. Pardon me, Scott was in space at one point. So they said that it would work. I think they said towards the end of like the 170s or something of X-Men. Yeah. But like literally they said there was almost no point where it was like this core character group.
Well, Larry's got the actual copy here. You know,
Yeah, I
the
see that. It's
original.
pretty
and,
cool
and
looking.
it's much larger. They were magazine sized.
Yeah.
They were totally different, and that was part of the problem for the stores. They didn't like to carry them because they didn't fit on the shelf right. So
Yeah, they had their comic book racks.
Yep.
The regular, even the giant size annual was the same size.
That's a lot better than my little tablet screen.
Yeah, these were odd size. It's just that magazines in comic book stores then were not well received. I mean,
Right.
you had to be a full service store, and a lot of them weren't. They just didn't have the place for it. So
Well, bonus for doing this show. I mean, you bought it anyway. You now have that in your collection.
I now have it in my
So
collection.
now it's part of the collection. You still have the collection, or did you
I do. I haven't seen it in quite some time. It's at my wife's grandmother's house.
Oh, okay.
It's everything's all in little bags with their backing. But,
Larry, do you want your funny books back?
but yeah, I've got tons, and that was my thing. I was an X-Men guy.
Yeah.
I loved the X-Men. And then when I stopped, I didn't collect anything until later when Chaos Comics came out with, Lady Death,
Evil Ernie and all
Lady
that?
Death and Purgatory.
Brian Polito, right?
Yeah, that's why my right calf is all Purgatory. I loved the Chaos Comics.
Okay.
So I find it funny that you, both John and Sir John, were not X-Men readers.
I read it when I first started getting into comics. I went one way, and my best friend, who was into comics at the time, went in a different way, and we would share the comics back and forth.
Yeah.
He read Gru, and he collected Gru. I would read his copies. He collected X-Men, and I would read his copies. But I couldn't get into the X-Men. I just didn't like it. Gru was fun, but it was never anything I wanted to pick up for myself. Same thing on the things that I would read. So, I mean, we just went back and forth. He liked Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Didn't like that.
Yeah. For me, I did have periods like I was a fan of the the late '80s X-Men when Mark Silvestri drew it when the team was in Australia. That was a thing where the team kind of consisted of you had Wolverine and Havoc and Storm and they had Gateway, who was the Aborigine who could get them. He could teleport them. They were on the run from this group. I think it was called the Reavers, maybe. I read all that. I enjoyed that. I've read a lot of the classic X-Men stuff that went back. The Dark Phoenix saga and stuff. I've read that stuff.
Hellfire Club.
The Hellfire Club, and a lot of it is good. But in all honesty, out of anything like Fantastic Four or Spider-Man, I just find the X-Men to be the most convoluted. Because okay, so Fantastic Four, you got 4 characters, and one of them might switch out once in a while. So the Thing goes away for a while, She-Hulk comes in. They do things like that. There's fucking 19,000 mutants, and they've all been an X-Men at one point or another. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is also, usually on the rack, there's one Fantastic Four book. At any given point, there's fucking 9 X-Men books.
But don't they do that with all the other ones, like Justice League and
don't
they all switch in and out? And Avengers,
yeah,
and
you've got to,
everything?
because when I started collecting, it was also around the same time Classic X-Men came out.
Classic X-Men was reprints of the Uncanny.
Yeah, and then you had X Factor,
which was the original X-Men team back together again, but
New Mutants who were kind of X-Men.
Right, they were the class that was trainees.
Yeah. So even then it was there was a lot to get if you wanted to keep current on.
And that was
X-Men.
before they started with like the X Factor or X Force and and this, that, and the other thing.
Well, X Factor was the first step. I mean,
Yes.
New Mutants was already out. That ran for a long time. So, but it's just even back then when I worked at comic book stores, I had to be aware of what was going on in the X-Men, even though I didn't read it. And back issues of X-Men were gold. It was just an easy sell. You'd bring them in, you'd sell them right back out again. Yep. Other stuff. The Avengers, you might as well just use them as a doorstop.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't sell back issues.
Which is crazy too, because Avengers, I mean, has been broken up into several volumes, but it's been pretty much a viable title. Fantastic Four, out of all these, X-Men is the one that at one point got canceled.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is a book that got canceled.
In the 70s.
In the 70s, X-Men became a reprint book.
I don't think I knew that.
This is prior to the new X-Men, the like Storm and
Wolverine.
The original Uncanny X-Men that was in the 60s?
60s.
Yeah, it got canceled because no one read it.
No one read it. Got canceled.
So you're talking about like when Giant Size 1 came out and the new team came in.
That's
when
like a reboot. This is okay. We have to do something.
Yeah.
And initially the idea behind it was they were going to be an international team. Because if we really look at it, Sunfire's Japanese.
Yep.
Storm, Banshee's Irish, Storm is African, Wolverine's Canadian. Nightcrawler's German.
And you had Nighthawk, the Indian.
Thunderbird.
Thunderbird.
Yeah, you were very close just
Thunderbird.
What's the word?
Thunderbird.
That guy was a dick. He hated everybody.
But that is a book that like at
then
one
they
point
killed him.
got canceled off. I mean, that's crazy to think about that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that's why they changed the
for a couple years there, X-Men was a reprint book.
And it was bi-monthly.
Yeah.
If that.
Well, that's because that's what happens when you got fucking Cyclops running your team. Guy's a fucking asshole.
one of the greatest
was really bad for comics, so it tanked on many levels, but it wasn't just Marvel and DC.
One of our best moments on Pint Comics was when we did our 100th episode.
Yeah.
We had reached out to friends and said, if you want to ask us questions, comic book questions. And one of the best questions was from Jim Hurst, who writes Jimmy the Joint. He just said, I got a comic book question. And, okay, what is it, Jim? Who's your least favorite X-Men and why is it Cyclops?
Fucking 100% right.
I don't know if I've ever met anybody that likes Cyclops. Here's a character who...
They even write him as a dick for the movie.
Yeah. Here's a character who is for all intents and purposes the leader of the group.
Yep.
I'm not going to equate him to Captain America, but he's the straight arrow. You know what I mean? He's the guy
moral compass.
The moral compass, yet he is for years just been considered and played as such a douchebag that people root for the slimy little Canadian guy to pork his girlfriend. You know what I mean? Like, that's just weird. I mean, a few years ago in the comics, they did it where they had this whole X-Men versus X-Men thing, and he was considered the bad guy.
I'm not surprised.
I like I said, I pay attention to that stuff sporadically, so I can't tell you really what happened.
Yeah.
But I know that for a while in the Marvel universe, Cyclops was like the villain at one point.
Not surprised.
Hey, the best thing that ever happened in the Punisher kills the Marvel universe.
First person he kills is Cyclops.
Cyclops, right.
It starts with him. Shoots him right in the fucking head. Good. Finishes them off.
Bastard.
So let's get into this a little bit here. Chris Claremont wrote this. Chris Claremont wrote just about everything X-Men for a while.
Yeah.
He was, I was looking at his credits the other day, and I don't know if I wrote it down here, but it was like X-Men writer from like 94 to fucking 390, and then he came back for 100 issues, like 100 issues later. So this guy's been around for a long time. He was a real douche to me at a con one time. I'll say that out loud. He was very smarmy to me at a con one time, so I'm not a personal fan of Chris Claremont. But
You saw his line at Terrificon.
yeah, I
It
know.
was bigger than J. Michael Straczynski.
Hey,
so.
hey,
Was it
he's-
really?
Yeah, he's a
bigger.
popular dude. He's definitely a popular guy.
He had a line that was very large for a long period of time, where Straczynski might have had 5 people deep at any given point.
And it's funny, if you look at his credits,
And I was one of them.
yeah, if you look at his credits, he's done a bunch of things, but never anything for more than a couple issues. Yeah. But when it's X related, he's there forever. He did obviously Uncanny. He did when it was just called X-Men. He did Excalibur, which was one of the
I forgot about that one.
the British spinoff starring
That was
Captain
fucking
Britain.
awful.
You didn't like that? That was
no,
fucking.
I didn't. That was after.
What, Excalibur?
Yeah.
I liked Excalibur.
I liked it too.
That was what? Britain, Shadowcat.
Yeah.
It was
The brother, who's the chick?
Megan.
Megan,
Yeah.
the elf, yeah.
I didn't love it.
Nightcrawler.
Rocky.
Like I know.
It was Davis and Neary. You couldn't.
Yeah.
It's just-
That was when
just
it was
so bizarre.
Phoenix. What's her name?
Rachel Summers.
Rachel
right.
Summers.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. I did
wearing
read that.
that super tight outfit
Yeah.
with the spikes on it.
Yeah.
But Rachel Summers
So you
had
could-
already been killed.
Yeah,
like,
but
it
you
was so,
you could basically count the Anyway, it was naughty artwork.
Were you trying to refer to her moose knuckle, John?
She didn't have a moose knuckle.
He wrote New Mutants for a while, and he actually drove me off a book at one point in the 2000s. There was a book they did for a while called Exiles that I liked a lot, with art by Jim Calafiore.
Oh yeah, right.
And it was written by a guy we're not a fan of, but I like this book, Judd Winnick. And he did this book for like Winnick, and I think Tony Bedard took it over. They did it for like 100 issues. It was Exiles. And then Claremont took over, and like within the first 2 issues, I was like, I'm fucking off this book. It was not good.
Really?
It was not good. He's one of those guys,
Who
I
was
think.
was Calafiore still doing the art?
No, he was off at that point. Mike
All right.
McCone did it for a while.
Oh, I like
and,
McCone.
yeah, a lot of good artists. It was a good book. It was a book about, we were joking earlier on another episode about Voyagers. It was a similar situation. Blink gets this thing called the Talus, and she has to
What's a
go.
Blink?
Blink is from Age of Apocalypse. She's a mutant.
Okay.
She's given
know
the
who that
Talus, which is a time traveling device, and she has to go to different parallel Marvel universes to fix things. And she's given a crew of various X-Men from different universes. So you'll get characters. There's one character named Nocturne, who's throughout most of the book. She's the daughter of Nightcrawler and I can't remember who, Scarlet Witch. So she has like
Ew.
both of their powers. She's very cool. There's another character named Morph, and there's one called Mimic. And it's cool because you get to see these characters, and they end up on different Marvel Earths where different, like they go to one where the Fantastic Four have taken over the Earth, and Doom is like trying to fight again. It was a really good book.
I
and
remember-
Claremont came on it, and I was like fucking off.
Well, Exiles predates the Marvel Universe because it was a Malibu book, and Marvel bought the Malibu Universe, and then they brought Exiles into the whole X Universe situation.
Oh, okay.
That's what happened there.
Okay,
Yeah, the whole Malibu thing is a whole nother story.
that's a whole other episode.
But that's what happened with Exiles, and where it was like one of the most successful of the Malibu books after the purchase of Malibu.
Okay, Malibu Comics. Is that the one that had at one point a book that had a bullet hole through it? That like actually went through all the pages.
They published that.
Yeah, well, I've never seen
was-
that. I always wanted to see that.
You want one?
Well, you're not coming. This isn't a suicide thing, is it? Are you okay? Do you want to talk?
I've got shit
I was going to
left
ask if
over
he's
from my
dying. I was like,
store.
are you dying?
Are you dying?
I can give you like the first 10 issues of the Protectors. No one bought that crap when it came out, so, including the bullet hole one.
J.
Oh,
Michael Straczynski did a version of Protectors.
Really?
Yep. In maybe 2013.
From
something
what
like that.
company?
It was at Joe's Comics. Or
Oh,
whatever
oh,
that
Oh,
was.
there's the little
that's-
imprint there.
Under
That's
Image.
different. The Protectors at Malibu
Yeah.
were all a bunch of characters from. They were Golden Age characters that were in the public domain.
Yeah. It was
Interesting.
okay. It was pretty good.
He did the same thing.
Yeah, it didn't last too long.
Jeez, let's just
Maybe 12 issues.
raid something that didn't mean anything the first time. I
Yeah.
mean,
Hey, that's your hero, man. Don't
Hey,
talk
that's
shit
all
about
I know.
him.
You guys
No,
are talking
no, I
X-Men
like
and
that.
all this stuff. I
Well,
got
read
nothing to
read
say.
his fucking autobiography. You'll get creeped
Well,
out.
do you have the artist? Who is the artist for this book? Do you have that written down?
Yeah, that was Brent Anderson.
And do you have any of Brent Anderson's credits?
No, I don't have any.
Shame
All right.
on you.
All right. Well, I can tell you a few things. Astro City.
Yep.
the Kurt Busiek book, which I've never read and I should read.
I've heard really good things.
It's
about
supposed to be
that.
great.
It's very good.
Yeah.
I did not read the last series from DC, but I've read everything up till that point.
Another book that John absolutely hates that I liked a lot, another Straczynski book. He drew Rising Stars for Top Cow.
Anderson did that?
Brett Anderson, yep.
Really?
I don't know if he did the whole thing. I think he might have done the whole thing. That's part of the reason why that thing was like 24 issues over like fucking 9 years.
Yeah.
Because I think he wasn't drawing at one point.
Anderson is slow.
Yeah.
I mean, Astro City was irregular partly because of him, but partly because of Busiek too.
I always remember that Rising Star. I got back into comics in like 2000. I remember getting the second issue of Rising Stars and going back and getting the first issue because it was like people had recommended it. And I remember that story. It was 24 issues, I think, not ending until like 2006. So this is like 6 fucking years to get 2 years worth of books.
Yeah, well, that was Straczynski.
Took a long time.
Yeah.
He also, what else did he do? He also did, there was one other thing that he had. Oh, a Marvel book that I bought, all of them in the quarter bins. I've never read it. Strike Force Morituri was Brent Anderson. I don't know if he did the whole thing, but We Who Are About to Die, right? Is that the slogan on the cover?
Wow, I never read that when it came
Yeah,
out.
a couple years ago, I was going to the Cliff Cons in
Larry
Plainville.
Stroman did some of that.
Maybe.
If I remember right.
But I picked that whole thing up.
Yeah, we were about to die. Yeah, that was an epic book.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there was a hardcover sequel, I think, too. Lloyd, do you have written down the team of X-Men on this particular book? Do you have that?
No, I don't have that.
All right.
Lloyd, what the fuck?
Larry.
Hey, I wasn't told to take any notes about this stuff.
Oh, no, you have a notebook, so I thought you had it. Larry, who is
all
the
got
team we
notebooks.
have in this one?
I mean, I could probably recite
So
them,
we've
but-
got everybody's favorite Cyclops.
That's right.
We've got Storm, Aurora.
Aurora Monroe.
We've got Wolverine, Colossus,
I love Colossus.
Ariel Shadowcat Sprite, Nightcrawler, and Professor X. Do we count him as an
Kitty
X-Men?
Pryde?
Sure.
Yeah.
Kitty Pryde's Ariel in this.
Yeah,
Oh,
Ariel,
okay.
Yeah.
She's Ariel Shadowcat
Shows you what
Sprite.
I know.
Well, did you mention Colossus' sister?
Well, she's not an X-Man. Ilyana is a new mutant.
Oh,
I have a question about her.
Ilyana / Magic with a K.
With a K.
but this was prior to her becoming Magic, apparently, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
They don't call her Magic
So,
at this. at
first
all.
question on this. So before we get into the plot of this, I just want to get this up before I
They
forget.
don't
it.
even mention her powers at all.
Right.
They mention what she might be.
That's right. They say that there's like 6 mutants and then something else.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Well,
She's
she's a demon,
supernatural.
isn't she? She's like partially demon or
Is
something.
she a demon?
She
she would-
ran a demon realm or something.
Something like that. She would armor up partially
Yeah.
with demonic supernatural armor. She was never really a mutant. But somewhere, I guess,
She would like go to this demonic realm and get power and come back or something.
Something like
it was
that.
weird.
It was
Okay.
really strange. But I remember somewhere in there, like after because they killed her at one point.
yeah,
She was dead for a long time.
Oh, they've all been dead at
but
some
she
point.
Yeah.
was. I don't think. But she wasn't really dead. She was just like in the demon realm
Something
full
like
time
that.
or
Yeah,
something.
it was some weird thing where she was never a mutant, but then someone tried to make her a mutant. Just to tell the story, like she's a mutant. She's always been a mutant. It doesn't make much fucking sense,
The word convoluted comes to mind again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She was one of those characters I actually kind of liked.
she was different,
Yeah.
which was cool.
Yeah. And then when they killed her, I was like, oh, well, I'm just not going to
She was
care about
definitely.
this now.
She out of the New Mutants. She was definitely the best.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, New Mutants.
I did like Cannonball, though.
Did you?
Yeah.
You know who I liked
I like
visually?
Wolfsbane, the girl.
Sunspot. Visually, I always like Sunspot.
Visually, they were all very
Yeah.
interesting. But that's Sienkiewicz.
Yeah.
know.
The demon bear.
Oh, and there was that fucking Doug Ramsey. He was just pointless.
Warlock.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's completely pointless.
Warlock, who I think Kitty Pryde still pines over.
Right, and
Kitty
he's
Pryde-
he's
Kitty
the one
Pryde's
who
got a
had
lot
the
of
fucking
pining.
robot, right? He was like,
You're right over there, Lloyd. You have no idea what we're
he
talking
was like
about.
an alien
I'm all in
slash.
space over here.
I just remember his dad was Magnus, and his dad fucking.
What was the name of
I like Rick Grimes.
what was the name of
Is he an
of his
X-Men?
robot?
Oh, yeah,
Doug Ramsey's robot.
Oh, that was
Magnus was his dad, the
Wasn't it
robot's dad. But I can't remember the
Gizmo?
fucking robot.
No.
Definitely not Gizmo.
No.
fuck was it?
All right, we'll think about that. Nimrod was the sentinel.
Shikaka. Yeah, it was
Nimrod
like-
was the sentinel that had that
was-
was like sentient.
Cypher? No,
That was
Cypher
like
was the
cover
other
of
kid.
209 was Colossus fighting Nimrod.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Fuck, there's- I'm
what
not-
the fuck was
now I
that
gotta remember all these
robot's name?
stupid New Mutants that got
Why do I
killed
remember
off.
the robot's dad's name?
I will.
but
I'll
not
look it
the
up in a
robot's-
second. Before you look up the
He's an
robot,
alien,
Larry.
actually, not
The
a robot.
robot's
Okay.
dead.
While you look it up,
Yeah.
while you look it up, Lloyd.
Yeah.
Why don't you give me the bumper sticker of the idea of what this book is about?
Holy shit. All right, so the idea there's a religious fundamental extremist, Richard Stryker, and
William
basically
Stryker.
William Stryker, and he wants the wholesale execution elimination of all mutants.
Now, Stryker.
That's
when
about
you,
it.
When you grab it by the yoke.
Striker. So that's basically it.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, there's a lot.
He
other
does not
stuff,
have a
but-
drinking problem.
No, he does not.
No.
So this book basically starts off the opening scene. It's pretty fucking harrowing, actually. It's
Yeah, two dead children.
Yeah,
It's-
you know, what is it tonight with kids getting killed off in the first few seconds of
Yeah.
things that
Oh,
we've
right.
read or
Yeah.
watched? I
Oh,
don't
we're
know.
fucking idiots.
You have it now.
Well, yeah, the fucking robot thing was Warlock. He was Cypher.
Cipher.
Oh, okay.
Doug Ramsey
All right.
was Cypher.
All right,
the
all right,
robot
all right.
was Warlock.
I said Cypher, and I thought that was a different
Yeah.
character.
He was just such a nothing character. It's just like,
Yeah.
whatever.
He was the one that he could speak interpret and speak any language, right?
something. I don't. Fucking,
Yeah.
He had a really
Probably
dumb
with a
power.
name like Cypher.
Yeah.
Hey,
Those mutants, man.
Hey,
So
but he fit into that New
true.
Mutants uniform really well.
I like those New Mutants uniforms. They're kind of like the old X-Men uniforms.
Yeah.
They were pretty cool. All right, so the first couple minutes in this book, you have these two young kids, a brother and a sister. They're being chased by something. We find out that it is a group called, this is a terrifying name too, the Purifiers. The Purifiers are chasing after them. And you kind of realize immediately you're not like reading your mom's comic book when the Purifiers catch up to them and murder the fuck out of these kids.
Yeah, two kids.
And then hang them from a set of swings and hang muties boards that say muties around them. Magneto comes and
the
finds them.
connotation there. They're black kids.
And they're black kids too.
So, it's a little.
Well, there's
it's
Not just a little.
it's
They know
heavy-handed.
They know
It's
exactly
super
what they're
heavy-handed.
saying.
Oh, yeah.
Especially later on with Kitty Pryde.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
We'll get
yeah.
to page 7.
I'm
I wasn't expecting. Larry had mentioned. Did you get to page 7 yet? And I'm like, no.
I dropped it and just texted him, and I was like, "So page 7."
So we'll get there in 1 second. So yeah, it's kind of it's well done actually because you have this bit where the brother and sister are cowering over these adults, and these are kids. And in a regular comic book, they're going to get away or just get captured, and they blow the brother away, and the sister I think just sits there and says, "Why?"
Yeah.
Like she's like, "Why?" And then they kill her.
Yep.
And hang these kids, and then the next couple scenes you get Magneto coming out, and obviously Magneto is
Super pissed.
super pissed. I mean, this is a guy who grew up in the concentration camps. Magneto's got fucking issues. Whether I can't claim to know a lot about this character, but Magneto has fucking issues. Here's a guy who has seen the worst of humanity and was victimized by it, and now he has grown and realized that he is a minority of a whole different type.
Right.
That's hated by a whole different group, and he's not going to let that shit happen again. And now he has the power to fight it. That's one thing I've always liked about the X-Men is the dichotomy between Professor X and Magneto.
Yeah.
Who's right, who's wrong? Jeez, it's kind of hard to say.
Right.
Magneto doesn't seem totally wrong.
Especially not in this episode.
No,
not this
whatever
book,
it is.
no.
And Professor X for the first time kind of admits that, hey, maybe I'm not right.
Yeah.
Professor X has always been like the most ineffectual character in any one of these comic book series I've ever read. He's just so wishy-washy.
No, you're right about that.
constantly. And it's another one of the reasons I never liked the X-Men. That's your leader. That's the guy that's teaching you. This guy can't even fucking make a decision if he's going to eat toast or not.
Don't you talk shit about Patrick Stewart.
I love that scene in Logan when he's like losing. He's obviously. Have you seen Logan or not?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, in the silo.
When he's in the silo and he's just repeating the Taco Bell commercials.
Yeah.
The Grand Burrito. Like he really.
That was far and away the best X-Men related fucking
yes.
movie.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite.
That is very good.
I think we can all agree that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Especially when John.
John,
didn't like it. John didn't like it.
There's a better X-Men movie than that?
John.
I kind of like First Class much better.
First
I
Class-
like
You
First
said
Class.
much better.
First Class is
You didn't like Old Man Logan?
I think Logan was
I'm
good.
tired of Wolverine.
All right.
And Logan really didn't do it for me.
All right.
So he's not your favorite X-Man.
Fuck no.
Who's your favorite X-Man?
Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler.
Oh,
yours too?
Yeah. Lloyd, do you have a favorite of what you've seen?
Of X-Men?
Smell of
Yeah.
brimstone.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
He's the best
Spider-Man.
X-Man.
Yeah.
I have Wolverine versus Spider-Man. They fought. That was a big issue.
I like Thunderbird.
Or Nighthawk, as Larry calls him.
I'm just partial to that Sylvester Stallone movie.
Yeah. Billy D. Williams, Sylvester Stallone, and Rutger Hauer.
What was the other one in the New Mutant? Was it Magma?
There was a
Magma, yeah.
Oh, God.
Liquid Hop Magma.
Magma.
They were such a. You know what?
Yeah,
I don't know.
what
I don't know.
She's in The Walking Dead.
I don't know who I hated more. New Mutants or Power Pack.
Oh, Power Pack.
Oh, Power Pack.
One of them could turn to a cloud. The other one could turn to a rainbow. Get the fuck out of my face.
Didn't one have a unicorn thing?
I don't know. One of them could turn to a cloud. One could turn to a
never read
rainbow. One of them could.
Fucking
I don't know.
Awful. Fucking awful.
One of them could take your temperature anally with his pinky finger.
I never read Power Pack.
I actually did. Who
So
wrote
did
that?
I.
Was the artist from Captain Ginger, June.
June Brigman.
June Brigman, and I think
drew it.
Louise Simonson wrote that. Right? Am I right?
Probably.
They
I
had a
don't
big
remember.
say
Louise
no to-
Simonson, who actually edited God Loves Man
really?
Kills. I think. Yeah.
They had a
If I
big
remember
say
correctly.
no to
She
drugs
shoulda-
issue. Power Pack.
As far as an editor is concerned, I mean, she could have swept out about every other word that Claremont wrote. I mean, there's full pages. It's just man,
It's wordy.
slow
yeah,
down.
definitely wordy.
I don't mind wordy comics, but it's just too much. There's too much
Right.
exposition going on every single fucking panel.
Right.
You don't need all that.
So we determined that we figured out that the Purifiers are this group that are
Yes.
that are funded by Stryker, and he
Stryker!
he has this I guess this facade of being this great he's
Joel
almost
Osteen.
He's
He's
almost
Joel Osteen.
he's Joel Osteen. He's like a super church, mega church guy.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, and he's not even really
Roberts.
he's not even
God.
lying about the fact that he wants to exterminate the mutants. He's
Well,
just,
he hasn't really said he wants to exterminate
right.
them.
He's just
Was he Jim Baker? Or is that
he's
Jim Baker? Is
Tammy
that,
Faye. Yeah.
is that prior to Jim Baker? That might
Oh,
have
this
been-
is prior.
yeah.
This is prior.
It's definitely Oral Roberts.
Yeah.
That's prior to the Jim Baker stuff?
Oh,
82.
82,
that was
yeah.
87,
Jim Baker was
yeah.
around for a long time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
no,
was,
but
but
before
before
the
the
scandal.
scandal.
The scandal.
Well, even before he hit it big,
Right.
I'm trying to remember who was big.
I think the
for
scandal was like
evangelists at the time.
85, 86.
This time
Yeah.
in 1982, I'd say it's probably Pat Roberts, right? That
Oh,
was
Pat Roberts.
Oh, yeah, good one.
that's
700
right.
Club.
Yeah,
right?
Yep.
yeah.
So yeah, he's not saying he's going to exterminate him.
He's
but
still
Dr. Gene
melting.
Scott.
He's Dr. Gene.
But he's
Scott.
trying to convince
Oh,
the
wow.
world
That was a
they're
weird guy.
He's trying to convince the world that they are not good,
Right.
and that we don't need them around.
He goes on.
They're dangerous.
2020 or ABC
Some-
World News.
Yeah,
and
and they have a debate.
He debates with Professor X, and he actually comes out looking like the
Right.
he kind of beats Professor X with his words.
Yeah.
And Professor X is like, shit, I'm making mutants look like shit.
That's because Professor X was trying to play to people's logic and reason,
Right.
and the other guy was playing to their fears.
Yeah. What-
That's always going to win.
What I liked about the book, though, is with scenes like that, you get people in the background making commentary, and so you get the people filming the show and the cameramen saying, well, "What is this guy talking about?
Right.
This guy is crazy."
Well, it's actually
that kind of stuff.
very important, like you're saying, to the end of the book when not to get to the end of the book, but like the security guard or the
Yeah.
cop.
Yeah.
You get his opinions and you see him throughout the thing, and then
Yeah.
it becomes a very big part of the end of the book.
Yeah.
So Larry, let's get to page 7. We're gonna just dance over this real quick, but
So we talked about how heavy the beginning was with the black kids being executed and strung up.
Muties. And
Yeah, with the muties sign and the connotation there. Page 7, Shadowcat was fist fighting some boy. I don't know what that was, like a dance studio.
they were at a dance studio.
Yeah, something like that.
And
I don't
he-
know.
All right. So before we get into that,
Oh.
this is the kind of thing that drove me nuts about this thing. Is I thought it fit right into the ongoing continuity of the X-Men titles at the time. Now that you tell me that it didn't, that makes much more sense because it's not something they would have done.
Right.
But there are things in this book that happened, this dance studio thing, that seem to be part of the regular comic book because I have no clue of what the hell's going on.
Well, I have no idea either. They were just at a dance studio.
Yeah,
That just makes me think it's
Her
shitty
and-
fucking writing.
Her and some random boy and a
I didn't even understand what was going on.
Right.
It was-
and suddenly there's
Yeah.
this teacher that comes out that apparently is important in some way, but
But this is the only time you see her, so who knows if she's
right.
So yeah, she's fist fighting the boy, and the boy punches her, and somehow Colossus shows up, right? And
yeah.
I'm just running out of the blue.
yeah,
Hey.
and separates them, and Kitty says that she's mad because the guy said that Stryker's right and all mutants are evil, etc. And the teacher's like, Kitty, you just gotta ignore, people like that. And Kitty says, well, what if he said I was a N lover, hard R?
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. And it's spelled out there.
Yep.
The word's there.
In bold.
In bold, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised to see that.
I was surprised
still
to
in
see
a
that.
public, because that's a brand new publication.
Yeah, this is the newest version.
Yeah.
So it's still in the new version.
Yeah.
Right, let's get to page 7. We will not repeat it, but it is right. Here we go. And boom. Suppose he'd called me a blank lover, Stevie.
Yeah.
What would
Stevie,
you be
who
Stevie, who's the teacher?
It's an African American teacher.
Would you be so damn tolerant then?
Right.
But yeah, I mean it is right there.
Yeah.
Right on the page.
It's flat. I mean, it's a punch to the gut.
Yeah. And the
On
message
purpose.
the message is they want you to, with that opening scene and with that, they want you to, tie together the stigma between
Right.
They want you to understand
Yeah.
the kind of bigotry
the
that's
kind of
going
bigotry
on.
that they're dealing with is the same kind of bigotry that
Right.
that black people face throughout.
Well, they made no bones about the fact that Shadowcat is Jewish too.
Right.
I mean, they went.
I forgot about that.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
they
yeah.
they mention it in there, and they show her with the Star of David on her neck at least in 3-4 different scenes. So
I don't think I even noticed that.
Yep.
yeah, I had forgotten about that myself until I read this book. And I was like, oh yeah, that's right, she's Jewish. Yeah, they made notes about that. In
Interesting.
Other stories, I think even in Excalibur.
Multiple times, yeah.
So yeah, they're definitely trying to draw some heavy parallels here and make a much weightier book than the normal X-Men fare.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which I think is what they were aiming with that graphic novel line at the time. It was meant to be for an older, more mature audience.
Something a little bit more, a little bit less kid friendly and a little bit more. Oh, you know what? I'm getting older. I want to check out some X-Men stuff. Oh, look, they said the N word.
Right.
And,
it's the early '80s too. They were trying to shake up the market a little bit, and all those European books that were coming over, the English book, Judge Dredd was huge.
Yeah.
So it's all part of the market at the time too.
I'll be honest. Every time in this book that the Purifiers, like the like their their street team, the task force would come out, I actually got like they were scary. They were and what was scary about
they
them?
meant business. They were trained, and
that's
there was
exactly
no
what it was.
stopping them.
That's exactly what it was. That and you read a comic and you're like, oh, I should be afraid of Green Goblin, or I should be afraid of this character, Joker, because you should. They're unhinged and they're scary looking. These are just humans with guns and uniforms. But like every time they showed up, because they established in the first 5 pages that they're going to kill kids.
Yeah.
They try multiple times. So then as the book goes along,
They're Nazi soldiers.
they're
That's exactly
essentially
what they are.
stormtroopers. The Purifiers end up taking out Professor X and kidnapping him, right?
Yep.
So they kidnap Professor X and then they make it look like they kidnap Professor X and they get
They
Storm.
blow up the car.
Right.
Because Professor
They
X
capture everybody.
after the debate with Stryker, it's Cyclops and Storm, and Professor X in the car on the way back, and X there realizes something's about to happen and the car explodes. Right. So they get a call to the mansion, Nightcrawler answers, and somebody tells them that 3 of them are dead.
Right.
So there's a time there. Brief time, of course, where they think that 3 of them are dead. But then Wolverine gets on the scene and smells.
He smells the corpse.
Yeah, he's like, that's bullshit.
Yeah, he's like, this ain't them.
Yeah, he's like, I can smell some stuff. Him and his cigar, him and his stogie.
What do you mean, friend Wolverine?
Is that when they go do their training exercise?
Oh, in the danger room.
The
Afterwards.
danger room. I always loved the danger room.
The danger room is pretty badass. I do like the fact that at the end of the danger room sequence, there's a scoreboard. Yeah. Kitty's looking at it, and she's like 96%. If you look at it, it's got everybody broken down.
Wolverine cut a rope, and he got 99%.
Yeah.
Ooh, he did a lot.
Yeah. Well, he was supposed to escape the cage without cutting the cage.
Right. And that's when they changed everything around to try to work. We know what your strengths are. Let's do this differently. They established in this one, but I don't remember.
We want to make sure that the danger room gets into this thing because we want the regular readers to understand what's going on too.
Because Kitty at one point in this, and I didn't realize unless it was canon back then, is that she couldn't phase with somebody else, and she's trying to do it in the danger room, and it becomes important at the end of the book because she manages to do it, and she's like, I phase with somebody else.
Right.
Honestly, I don't remember, but I just remember that she was very young at the time of the X-Men books, prior to the Excalibur.
Oh, way
Right.
prior. Yeah.
She was very
She was
young.
like 13 when you
Yeah.
brought her in. Yeah, I mean,
Right.
technically these are all kids.
It wasn't until what was it, Wolverine and Kitty Pryde and Wolverine miniseries where
Right.
she became
Great
a ninja.
That's a great miniseries.
Yeah, which everyone forgot about after.
Yeah, I think I have that. Yeah,
I do too.
Yep. All right, so we end up getting end up getting kidnapped. You think they're dead, but the crew does not. They also find on the grounds of the school a tracking device, right? That the purifiers have been keeping an eye on them.
Yeah, Ileana finds it, right?
Ileana finds it.
Yep.
A big box just sitting there.
Hey, it's pointed at the mansion.
They hide in the woods as like 7 of them are standing like 4 feet away from them, looking at it, like banging on the thing, like it's the fucking Fonz's jukebox. Why isn't it working? I don't know. Hit it. So where do we go from there, Lloyd? What else is happening?
Magneto comes eventually, right, and decides to ally with the X-Men.
Yep, Magneto comes in and basically tells the X-Men that you're not going to do this yourself. There is a great scene here. I'm looking at it right now. Where one of the purifiers tries to run Colossus over, if you remember that, and it hits him, and he turns to the steel, and he flips the car, and all he's got left in his arms is the fucking engine block.
Yeah.
I got to tell you right now, one of my all-time favorite Marvel characters, and again, not having read the X-Men a lot, I just love Colossus. Colossus is just, he's like that fucking nice dude that everybody wants to have as a friend, yet he could turn to fucking steel.
And the look of him is
and
cool.
the physical look, he's one of the coolest designed comic characters of all time.
Until he lowers the steel and he's in that costume and it's just him.
Yeah,
he looks like he's a total dork.
He looks like a circus guy.
Worse, because that costume is awful unless he's all steeled up.
Did anybody else in this book? Okay, so Stryker has got his purifiers, and he's got this entire, I guess, this group of yes men and people. Did anybody else get him and the doctor character mixed up repeatedly? He has a doctor that he kind of hangs out with that the X-Men eventually capture and kind of get information out of, and they're drawn in this book identically.
Yeah,
No, he looks like the other guy from fucking Airplane. Looks like I picked the wrong day to quit sniffing glue.
Lloyd Bridges.
Yeah, that's exactly. As soon as I turned to the page of the doctor, I'm like, oh shit! Looks like this guy picked the wrong day to stop sniffing glue. It's
So
like, there he is.
Where did do you remember, Larry, where Stryker ends up taking Professor X and the Cyclops and Storm? Where is his secret hideout?
It's like near the World Trade Center.
It is the World Trade
It is in
Center.
the World Trade Center. Okay, I remember the panel of the World Trade Center.
To this day,
Yeah.
fucking 19 years later,
Yeah.
it's still weird for me when I see something
yeah.
that involves the World Trade
Yep.
Center.
Any movie, any fucking
Yeah.
anytime I see it, I'm like, shit.
And there's that whole really weird crucifixion where he's having they've got Professor X like all doped up, and they're
the X-Men are like vampires or something.
Yeah, he's dreaming that
he's crucified.
put him on the fucking cross.
Yeah.
That was a weird bit.
Very strange.
and then-
At first, I wasn't sure what was going on because they were demon X-Men, and there's X on a cross. I'm like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, and then the guy
And then
from
you realize
Airplane
it's a
is
dream.
running the whole thing.
Yeah, they're basically messing with his mind. Stryker ends up eventually deciding his game plan for this whole thing is that they're going to have another Madison Square Garden. They're going to have this big a revival sermon.
Yeah.
And he's
somehow Cerebro.
He's
like
somehow
made a
reverse.
Cerebro.
Yeah, he's reverse engineered Cerebro.
Yeah.
Which they've never established that he had any access to.
Right.
But he's going to make this Cerebro device that will be powered by Professor X, and what it's going to be able to do is it's going to be able to identify mutants in the world and in the crowd, and through Professor X's power, kill them.
Yep.
He uses Professor X, tricks him into killing Aurora and Scott.
Yep.
Although all he does is he does the old Indian heartbeat trick where he basically puts them into this stasis, state.
He must still be in there.
Yeah. They end up getting reconciled with the other X-Men. There's a whole part where Kitty ends up in the Bronx getting chased by a bunch of like the
Fuck
Warriors. Yeah.
basically. Yeah. That's why I wore my Warriors.
Yeah.
It's
Now I get it.
I was like, fucking Ajax is coming. Get out of there.
oh god, the
Here come the
imagery.
Furies.
It does look like a movie poster.
I think
they're
they-
all standing
they
up against
played,
the brick wall.
They played Bloody Murder and Rape a few times.
They definitely played it.
And it's like-
every fucking night they played it.
Every stereotype,
Yeah.
every shitty '80s movie stereotype is in those characters.
Yeah, in that gang.
Except for the guy that's got the turban on his head. 'cause
Right.
Can I go back
It's a little
for a little
strange.
bit?
Yeah, what was that? That was weird. You had like all the Latin dudes, and they're
then-
like, we're gonna get you, mamacita.
Yeah.
And then there's the one guy who's got like he's like, is it the kid from fucking Johnny Quest Grown Up Bad? Like, what's his name?
Raji?
Yeah. Like, what was that one dude? It was like the United Colors of Benetton. Like the gang. There's like a black guy. There's two Latino guys who are like, we gotta have the fucking guy with the turban on. That only makes sense.
Every gang has one.
they're not white, so make them all as dark as possible.
Yeah, make them non-whites.
I thought a really powerful, necessary part was Stryker reminiscing about killing his wife and kid.
Oh, that was brutal.
That
was
was
brutal.
that was as brutal as the first couple
Yes,
minutes. So.
yeah, but it really.
really showed you who this guy was.
If you doubted how fucking serious this guy was, he put it to bed by telling a story about how his wife had a kid and realized kid was a mutant, so he fucking killed them both.
Right.
Yeah, that's when you're like, okay,
And then tried
there's
to
no
kill
stopping
himself
this.
as well.
Right.
Tried to burn himself up, but he got thrown out of the explosion, and he realized, oh, well, it's my mission
Yeah,
to
I'm
get rid
here.
of
I'm here.
mutants.
That's God sent
Yeah.
me here to.
He
that's
was-
when you realize, all right, this guy's not fucking.
He was a soldier transferred to Los Alamos
Yeah.
because the children of the atom.
Right.
They heavily kind of put it out there that maybe like the bombs going off, the test bombs, is what caused his wife's a pregnancy to become that way. They don't say it, but I mean you get that through the art.
Sure.
She gives birth on the side of the road, and he fucking just stabs the fuck out of that kid.
Yes, he
his
does.
own child.
And kills the kid, and then he does he kill the wife or
Yeah, he
he
breaks her neck.
breaks her neck.
breaks her neck, and then when he doesn't die exactly like you said, he claims that was the Lord telling him that you don't need to die. You now need to eradicate the rest of these fucking things.
So again, if you thought this was a regular funny book,
that's the thing is this book this is it's a well put together book. It's got the story is good. It's
heavy.
but man, like I can imagine I guess the title might clue you in. Like God Loves Man Kills is kind of a hardcore title.
but you would still think a kid that was reading comics back then, if he saw this at the comic store, would have bought it.
Yeah.
And I would think, for like a 10-year-old, it might be a little.
I don't know.
For a 10-year-old.
Back then, I think these things were like $6. So
Well, I was
Comics-
buying,
comics were still-
I was buying them. I had my paper money.
yeah, well, comics back then were still 75 cents or less.
I went every week to the comic shop in Milford with like $30 in my pocket.
Hmm.
That was my paper money, and I spent it all on comics.
You got paid for doing that?
For delivering papers, I sure
Well,
did.
I
My
did-
route was gigantic.
I was a paper boy too.
Did you collect?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's why I'm asking. 'Cause you did it in Bridgeport. So
Oh yeah. I got robbed. I got robbed at knife point once.
okay, yeah.
I did my collecting in Newington. Pretty,
I got robbed at knife
pretty
point
easy
once.
there.
I lucked out. I did Middletown Press, but my sister was a Middletown Press paperboy 5 years before me. She had to collect. When it got to me, I just got a check.
It's
I never
paid-
had to collect.
Paid by mail. Yeah. Yeah, they switched over at some point.
So what did you have, Lloyd?
So yeah, I want to go back a little bit to when Magneto comes by, and I think Kitty Pryde, she was trying to phase through the ground. So after that, I guess two of the purifiers, were they like cocooned in like wrapped
steel
in
or
metal
Well,
or
Magneto
steel?
wrapped them up in the
and then
yeah.
and then there's a scene where it looks like Magneto comes in and he just like shreds apart this cocoon and it seems to be torturing these guys.
probably.
Kind of.
So
Yeah.
I think what happens is it's kind of hard to read that with the picture and the art.
Oh, I
And
agree.
I think
but-
this was a much more powerful scene that just didn't get the point across to me anyway.
Yeah, I agree. I agree that he was so angry at what these people are doing is that he's making them pay for it. But I do agree. When I read that, I thought, is he like just letting them go, or is he
yeah.
is he crushing
No,
them?
he definitely did something fucked up because
They mentioned it.
Remember, Colossus
because he's
was like,
standing there with his
"Are we
arms
doing the
out,
right
the
thing?"
guy-
And
Right.
Wolverine's like, "Yep." And
Yeah.
Nightcrawler's like, "How are we any better if we're just doing the same thing they do?" So Magneto definitely killed those two. There's no doubt about it.
Oh yeah, I didn't read that. I figured he was torturing him.
Yeah,
but
I'm pretty sure.
killing him. Yeah, I guess so. I mean,
It's not beyond him. That's,
right?
it's not beyond
It
him.
is Magneto.
He's an extremist.
It is
so-
Magneto.
Magneto.
Fucking Ian McKellen, man.
I like him, but I never bought him as Magneto just because he was
Too old?
already too old to begin with.
Yeah, I get it.
Like, even though the movie sucked, Fassbender is a good Magneto. Like, he was great in First Class. Like, he had the anger.
Yep.
You know, but like Ian McKellen just kind of comes across.
And I love Ian McKellen.
I do too.
But you're right. He was
even
old.
from the first one. He comes across kind of as your grandfather.
Yeah,
you know?
because Magneto wasn't old. He just had white hair.
Right, he had white hair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like Steve Martin.
Yeah. I watched the Muppet movie the other night. Steve Martin had white hair in 1979.
Steve Martin had white hair when he was like 16.
Yeah.
Fucking wild and crazy guy.
So, are there any other moments in particular
Yeah.
before we kind of like talk a little bit more about that really stand out in this book?
So Kitty Pryde escapes the rape.
That's right.
The attempted rape.
Yeah.
Oh God, we're laughing over.
And
No,
then
we're laughing about something else.
she ends up like phasing into a train. Was
Yes,
it or
yes,
subway
yes.
or something?
Subway train or some kind
And
of
I think
train.
isn't that when Colossus and the rest of the guys come?
Yeah, they come and meet up with her, and that's when they.
Well, the purifiers show up
the
Yes.
purifiers show up.
and try and get Kitty,
Right.
and they shoot the cop who tries to protect her.
Right.
And that's when the rest of them show up.
Right.
Have
they-
we discussed Anne
then-
yet? Anne? I don't know. We haven't said anything about
the
Anne.
main. She's the number
the
one
main-
acolyte.
Yeah, she's
of
like the badass.
Striker.
Like she's
she
killed the whole fucking gang.
Yeah,
Like
she
the
killed the
'cause
gang.
The gang tries to attack her, and she's like, "Fucking bullshit." She
Yeah.
kills the entire gang.
Yeah, Right. yeah.
Like she's a badass.
I liked her character arc too, though, because like here's this character who is like the main acolyte for Stryker.
Yep.
She's the one who's like, I believe in you the most. The mutants need to die, and she finds out she's a fucking mutant at the end.
Right, right at the end.
When the cerebral machine is working, he's like, what
and
is
her
that?
fucking nose starts bleeding.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like,
like,
whoa, whoa,
And
whoa.
Stryker just turns right on her.
Yeah, and he doesn't
yeah.
give a fuck. And-
Throws her over, breaks her neck.
yeah,
You know.
and he's this guy's a piece of shit. So
Yeah, and he did not make Wolverine. That's a whole different.
that's a whole no.
That's a whole different arc.
although in the movie, because I've always heard the difference between the movie. One of the big differences between X-Men 2 and this is that he's
military.
preacher, and he's military in here
in the
too.
movie.
Yeah.
He starts as military.
Yeah.
So the whole thing kind of rolls into the Madison Square Garden ending. Magneto, in very dramatic fashion, comes rising through.
Yeah.
And I like how they said, like, don't they say at one point, they're like, he could have destroyed the roof, but he put it all back
Yeah.
together. Like, that's how they know Magneto's not a bad guy.
Back to John, like you get the whole audience speaking, like the
yeah.
background
Yeah.
characters
Some of
talking.
it works, some of it doesn't.
Yeah,
And you
and
get
that
the-
was like that. I was laughing about that part because I'm like, the whole world knows Magneto's a fucking bad guy. They don't know that he's changed.
Right.
So if he comes through the fucking roof, everybody would have fucking took it. Everybody would have taken off.
Right.
Everybody. There would have been fucking people getting crushed trying to get out the door.
Oh, especially knowing what he could do.
Everybody's like, no, wait, hold on. He put the piece of roof back.
Yeah.
He must be good now.
Oh shit! You know what he did? So bad. He tore the dome off the Madison Square Garden and put it back on. Good guy.
Awesome. He is
Good guy.
awesome.
He's all right.
Let's forget about all the other shit he's done.
Yeah.
Might have fixed it while he did it.
Yeah. So Stryker ends up. He kind of shows his own hand, right? He ends up one of the cops that earlier in the book, like John had said, is a background character. Suddenly becomes a very important character because what does Stryker do? He ends up pulling a gun on
he pulls a gun
he's
on-
going to shoot Shadowcat, I think. Or,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Ariel.
Ariel,
Yeah.
Sprite, 7-Up,
Whatever she was at this time.
Kitty Pryde.
He's like,
Mellow Yellow.
he's like, fuck this, I'll take matters in my own hands, pulls out a gun, and he's aiming it at her, and they're not doing anything. And then all of a sudden, this fucking cop blasts Stryker.
Gives him a shot, but he lives.
He apparently lives and
lives.
goes
Not
to
a kill
trial.
shot.
Yeah.
Well, prior to that, too, you get a very, very long-winded speech from Cyclops,
Well, of course, yeah.
which
Right.
I'm reading that and I'm like, wow, don't make me like the character now. I mean, he's such a lame ass.
Yep.
It was probably the best thing that's ever been written for the character in the, what,
Yeah,
50
he
years he's been around?
he gave like two impassioned speeches in this. One in that scene and then one towards the end to Magneto.
Yeah, that was a good one, too.
Yeah.
Well, Professor X is a lame ass anyways.
Jesus Christ.
Is it still in canon that he doesn't walk because of his mutant ability?
I don't even know.
You're asking the wrong guy.
He walks and doesn't walk so much.
I know.
that,
I remember when he was running around that awful yellow costume with the
Yeah.
big black X.
When was that?
Here's another. I'll give it another powerful moment that's actually brought up. I think on the back of the book or somewhere when Cyclops is talking and he says, for all you know, we could be the real human race and the rest of you the mutants. And you get Stryker pointing at Nightcrawler because of his appearance in particular.
Call that human.
And saying, human, you dare call that thing human. And it is a good moment. Here's something I noticed about Brent Anderson's artwork as I was reading this is, and I've heard people kind of talk about it with John Byrne, like on Fantastic Four, is there's a lot of stuff with no background. It's very like you kind of hear about that a lot, being like the
just
lazy,
a white background.
And he doesn't do it all the time, but there's certain things in here that just like there's no background where there should be a background, and I've heard like kind of like some people say that's like the lazy way out. Maybe it's an aesthetic choice, but you do notice it sometimes when you're kind of paying attention. Like, that's just like two characters on a blank piece of fucking paper. Like, draw something behind them. You're in Madison Square Garden.
That's true. True. You could draw like fucking Patrick Ewing or something.
Yeah.
Was he even on the team yet in '82? No, he was still
before.
in Georgetown. I
Georgetown,
think.
yeah. One more thing I did want to point out, and I just thought it was just, I don't know, I couldn't tell if when I read it, I thought it was corny or if it was nice sentiment, but it's the very last line in the whole book. After they basically, vanquish this guy, he's going to go on trial. Storm and Scott Summers, and they're all on the veranda along with Professor X, and he's kind of, I feel so ashamed, and to be proven only human is flawed and vulnerable as the rest of us. Where's the shame in that? Where indeed I owe you more than I can ever repay. He's talking to Cyclops. And from that caring comes love. And Scott says, which makes the world go round. And the very last line is Professor X saying, if only that were so. And it's like, there is a corniness to that, but it's also like, it's heavy for when the book is this kind of book. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's a nice sentiment that we all want to think that, like, the Beatles are right and love is all you need, but I think we all know
That's
that's bullshit. You know what I mean? It's a great song. It's a great sentiment, but unfortunately we don't live in those times. And even in 1982, we didn't live in those times. So Larry, this is your first read through ever of X-Men God Loves, Man Kills. Would you read it again? Or is this something that you, it's a tough read because it's heavy. It's like, I can't say, I enjoyed
It's
it.
short. It's short
It's
enough
short.
to maybe read again.
Yeah.
It is. And while I enjoy it, I don't think I'd read it again.
Yeah.
I think I'm good. I got the story. I get the gist of it. I did enjoy it. I did, but I don't think it's something I would need to read again.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. What would you give it on a scale of 1 to 5? And if you want to go 0, you want to go Johnson over there. Go full 0.
Hey.
No, I'm not going to go full 0. I really did enjoy it. I thought the heavy themes were good. I thought it was definitely heavy-handed at points. A little too wordy sometimes, and some stuff that didn't really make sense, like the whole dance instructor studio, whatever. I'd give it a 3.
3.
Yeah.
All right, I'll go next this time. I will say I own it. I can't picture ever pulling this off the rack again. But not because I didn't enjoy it, but just because, again, it's like, how depressed do I want to be for 64 pages? You know what I mean?
Right.
Page 3, 2 little kids get killed. Page 7, N-word gets dropped.
Yeah.
Again, like I said, there was things I liked about it a lot. I love the fact that the Purifiers were just terrifying. They were like terrifying villains because, again, they weren't superhuman in any way, shape, or form. They were just hateful human beings who, again, they're Nazis. They're
bigots.
They're bigots. And they've proven that they're not going to stop at anything. And Stryker's terrifying because, he's so single-tracked and single-minded that it doesn't matter who you are. He proves that with Anne at the end. It's not like Anne gets a pass, even though she's his most fervent follower and will do anything he wants her to do. The second that the chip...
Even when she finds out she's a mutant, she's still like, I'm still with you.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm on your side.
And he's like, bullshit.
Yeah. He's like, don't give a fuck about you. Get out of here.
Yeah.
I would give this, I think, for story purposes, I think this is for me, like a 2.5. I think I'll give it a 2.5. Manster, what do you got?
Well, I'm going to give it 3.
3.
I think 3. I'm probably not going to read it again. I agree with all the sentiments that you guys said. It's worth reading. It's heavy. It's a story that it's true. It's extreme, but it's the way shit goes.
I guess out of all the Marvel properties you could think of, this is the one that makes sense to have this kind of book. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like the X-Men is already a heavy concept.
A heavy concept.
Yes, it's a fun book and they do fun things with it. But if you were to say, in 1982, well, we want to do like a race relations story, and we want to have a character that's like this fucking bigot and blah blah blah. What are we gonna do?
You're not picking the West Coast Avengers,
Right? Yeah, exactly. It's not John's favorite West
Power
Coast
Pack's
Avengers.
not getting in on that one.
Actually, no. God Loves Man Kill 2, starring Power Pack.
Yeah.
Because the one girl that turns to a cloud.
Yep.
You find out there's this group of characters that hate characters
clouds.
that turn to clouds.
Yeah, perfect.
And oh man, that was really dark. It was really dark. The girl that turns to a rainbow can't turn to a rainbow. And then
Turns into a Caldors
she
Rainbow.
turns to a Caldors. She does. They drain her powers.
all
and
beige.
she becomes a Caldors Rainbow. She goes to light up, and she's brown, beige, and orange.
I always like Bradley's better.
Were you a Bradley's fan?
I
Mrs.
was.
B?
How about Two Guys?
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, that's your time period right there.
Bradley,
Really?
That was gone before.
Bradley's
You know where
was
Walmart is?
where I
on
would
the-
get all
on
my
the Berlin
muscle men.
Turnpike.
Oh, muscle.
Remember
yeah.
the muscle men?
I do.
Bradley's is where I would get them. all.
Yeah.
You remember Two Guys, right?
I know of it, but I don't think I ever set foot in one.
John worked at Woolworths as a kid.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
Nice.
my first paying
Think
job.
about it. Do you remember these? So you had Bradley's and Caldors were like Target and Walmart of 1983, and I was more of a Caldor guy. Okay,
I was for stealing tapes. I stole so many tapes.
dude, I used to steal fucking tapes of Caldors all the time.
Constantly.
Thieves.
I used to steal tapes of Caldors.
I was not a thief personally.
I went through a
Oh, I
period.
was.
I went through a period.
I was.
I was not always. I went through a period. For
I
sure.
had the,
That's when
I
they
had
started
the
putting
best.
the locks on those things.
I had the fucking best, easiest. Dude, all right, I'll give it out. You know what, kids, listen up.
Well, first of all, no kid listening knows what a fucking tape is, Larry.
If you ever want to take a tape, so I had a trench coat.
Oh, God.
Well pre Silent Bob era. Like I had a fucking trench coat long before him. So you cut the pockets of your trench coat and you drop something in, it goes
right
all
in
the
the
way to
coat.
the bottom.
Right.
All the way to the bottom of the coat. I was frisked numerous times leaving fucking places. They never frisked the bottom of the fucking trench coat.
Right.
They just checked the pockets, checked the inside, checked the waistband. And I was like, see ya. Me and all my fucking tapes are leaving.
Guess who's listening to Rush 2112 tonight, bitch? On you, motherfuckers.
That's right. Bark at the moon, motherfucker.
No, I honestly went through a period with Caldors because here's the thing. Here's where I was. They did have the tapes with those plastic fucking
those
racks.
long plastic
Didn't
ones.
take those.
Yeah.
I went to the hot.
shitty-
What were
yeah,
they like the
yeah.
398 hot or
discount
whatever
rack.
the discount
Yeah.
rack.
Yeah.
And I would take like literally like Rush 2112 and I would just fucking jam them in my pockets and I never got caught. I will tell you what made me stop. Like I said, I went through a period where I did this. The other thing I used to steal all the time. This is so embarrassing to fucking admit.
Books. I took books.
Magazines.
I took books.
I was big into wrestling.
Yeah.
And there was a food mart right across the street from the bus stop where at 6th grade, I used to get off the bus stop on Fridays. That's when the new magazines came out. I'd walk over to Wallbaum's Food Mart and I would have my book bag and I would steal all the wrestling magazines.
There, man.
Yeah. So I would steal
I feel like a goody two shoes
Yeah.
here.
Like
So I was-
Dusty Rhodes is on the cover of this. one.
I got Dusty Rhodes. I got Lex Luger. And he's all greased up.
Were they still doing
Oh,
like
he
the,
was so
the
greasy.
bulk foods there then?
Up in the front, in the
Yeah,
barrels,
yeah.
So I'd walk all the way to the magazines were all the way past, they were on the wall. I'd walk all the way down and I'd get like Pro Wrestling Illustrated and I'd get like whatever the fuck else there were. Like there was like 3 of them.
Yeah.
I'd get them and I'd fucking go down an aisle and jam them in my bag. And my dad, like, let me just tell you right now, my dad would not play this shit. If I got caught, my dad would fucking, I wouldn't be here with you right now.
So mine definitely would have. Yeah.
I had my book bag, and I used to do this fucking weekly. You know, if I knew new magazines were coming out, I'd hit them. I'm walking out one day of the Food Mart Wallbaums in Middletown, and as I'm walking out, the fucking manager, one of the dudes, steps in front of me and goes, "Hey," and I went, "Yeah." He goes, "Don't come in here with that bag anymore." That's all he said to me. I never fucking stole again. It just ended it because I literally was like, I knew it was like, even though I was like maybe 11 or 12, I was like, that was a close fucking call. And unlike some people with close calls where they're all like fucking like they get the rush, like, now I'm gonna start fucking stealing like guns. I was just like, I'm the fuck out of here.
So you did not become a carjacker.
I did not become a carjacker.
Good for you.
Yeah. So and I always
I did.
I always had the feeling. I always had the feeling that this dude like knew too. Like it wasn't like he was. Like, I think he saw me and was like going to give me.
Was
a break.
he like younger?
Young?
Yeah, he probably was 20 and was just like.
Probably hated his life. He's like, I'm a front end clerk. I'm a front end manager at fucking Wallbaum's Food Mart.
Good.
Yeah. So, but then it was like, okay, now I got to start asking for money for these, and like being afraid of my parents and be like, well, why do you suddenly need money for all these wrestling magazines?
Right.
And what are you doing with them? Are you jerking off to those? Are you weird?
Mom, have you ever seen Dusty Rhodes?
Here's the American dream. 320 pounds, and I jerked off to all 320 pounds.
Have you ever seen adorable Adrian Adonis?
Johnny, why are these pages of Lex Luger and Nikolai Volkov wrestling all stuck together? I could tell you a story about that, Mom, but I'd have to kill you.
Did your mom ever catch you?
Wow.
Stealing magazines?
Oh, masturbating? I will tell you. I will tell you right now. I will tell you right now. One time, very close.
Yeah.
And again, yeah, very close. I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it. I'm pretty sure she must have known what was going on.
Yeah.
But I was able to fucking play it off. But very close. You ever get
Not exactly, but
yeah,
maybe
you had a close call.
Maybe a door might open.
Yeah.
and,
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, when you're a kid, sometimes you're just too free with the jerking off. You got to start realizing after a while that there's locks on doors, and parents understand that shit, All right. So, anyways, enough of our prepubescent jerk off caught stories. John, what did you think?
I can't believe we didn't even get his
Well,
rating.
is that going to be the name?
I really don't know why I've got to answer this fucking question now.
John, what did you think of God Loves Man Kills? What do you give it? And would you ever read it again? I know the answer to that right off the bat.
That is no. Is a solid no. I give it 2.
That's
reasonable.
higher than I expected.
Yeah.
And it's because it is a readable book. It does have relevance. It's just very, very heavy-handed, and it's a period of its time too. But a lot of that stuff, I was aware of the X-Men. What did they had something going on in the regular title at one point? The Muties Go Home, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm sure
that was going on for a long time. So none
Mutant
of this
Massacre or something like that.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't remember all that stuff because I was never that big of an X-Men fan. This was okay. It just shows me why I was never a Claremont fan, though. This is not the kind of writing style I like.
Right.
Hey, Lonnie, this book really does not work for me, okay? So suck that one up. The art is fine. It's early Brent Anderson. I like his later stuff more. He's very rubbery faced in this book.
Yeah, we didn't really get into the art.
I'm not in
too
love
much.
with the art.
I'm not.
It's odd in places,
Yeah.
but
No.
it's still solid. It does.
It's solid. He's a good artist.
He's
it's
very
solid,
good.
But you're right. There's certain things in here that just don't really. I don't know. It's hard to describe.
And again, I mean, I didn't know that he was around doing work this early, so I had no idea who was in the industry.
The faces are definitely a little off.
Some of them are.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just weird, but it's good. It's serviceable stuff, and I don't know. If you're an X-Men fan, you'll probably come all over this thing like he did with his wrestling magazines.
Just lock that door.
Yeah, just lock the door. Next time you read God Loves Man Kills, lock the door. And if you're jerking off to this book, you got something going
There's
on.
an awful
You
lot.
might want to see the school counselor.
There's an awful lot of Kitty Pryde in her little green Ariel outfit, so maybe you'll like that. I don't know.
Yeah, at what point was she Ariel? Because I remember
It was
Sprite-
very brief.
I think it was literally this book and maybe 2 other issues of X-Men.
Yeah, it was very short.
Yeah, she was already Shadowcat when I started reading.
Yeah, yeah. And Sprite was
with the blackish blue costume.
Yeah.
because she was Sprite. There's that famous issue, the Christmas issue, where she's alone in the mansion and there's that creature, and I think she was Sprite then, but that's when she was wearing the yellow and black costume with the mask.
Yeah.
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 Awful costume.
She's had a lot of fucking identities. She was Star-Lord for a while in the newest.
Yeah, I just learned that.
Yeah. Oh
in
yeah.
preparing
She ended
for
up
this.
with Peter Quill. I didn't read any of this. I just know
I
this.
heard about that. Yeah, they were involved.
She ends up
somehow.
with Peter Quill, and then I
Isn't
think
she still like 13?
No. She grew up.
Oh, she grew up.
Oh, she grew up. No,
Oh, Jesus.
She's hot
no, she was
she,
with.
she grew up like Rachel Summers grew up. Is that what you're
She
saying?
was with. She was actually with Colossus for a long
Forever.
time.
She was with
She was
Colossus.
with Colossus.
Well,
for a long
that's
time,
not
yeah.
a surprise.
Yeah.
I remember that being a thing.
Yeah.
They mentioned
and
it
then
in
she
this.
broke his heart. No,
Well,
he
she
broke.
has-
he
she-
broke her heart. That's right. He left her.
Right.
Yeah.
She has a
remember
thing
that.
for him in this, for sure. She
But
says
she was
it's
super
magic.
young.
Well, yeah, it was this ongoing crush that Claremont slapped on the character for a long period of time.
Yeah.
Yep.
No.
All right. So
Anyway, it's the X-Men.
we'll leave it off on that. Larry, thanks for coming on and talking X-Men with us.
All right. Thanks for having
All
me.
right. Maybe next time, maybe next time we'll do either a comic of your picking. You pick a story arc you want to do.
All right.
All right. So start cranking those gears around. I know at one point you would actually say.
Yeah, I smell Secret Wars.
I remember you said Secret Wars, and I would love to do Secret Wars with Sir John.
yeah.
And we will keep doing these. I think
Everybody loves the Beyonder.
Oh man.
I haven't read that in so long.
I haven't read it in so long.
I actually
Have you ever
haven't
read it?
I haven't read it.
So
as long as it's not Secret Wars 2.
Yeah, let's do Secret Wars. Let's lock it in. Secret
Two,
Wars.
there was some disco.
Oh yeah.
There was also
Yeah.
some bathroom moments that will never be forgotten.
Well, we'll talk about that in the next episode, or the next episode that Larry's on, of the 100 Proof Book Project. Oh, my lord, I said it right again. This has been the Manster.
You named it.
Sir John. Did I name it? You
Yeah,
named it.
We named it.
We named it,
Lloyd
yeah.
bitched about
I
it.
did not name
No,
it.
Lloyd did not name it. The Manster, Sir John, Johnny Ganache, and Scary Larry Little House on the Prairie Dwyer. Chilling with you one more time. Go to www.connecticutcultclassics.com to check Larry out. Also, go to www.horrornewsnetwork.net to see what he writes and what all the other good folks over there, like Nick Banks and Shawnee Mack, and who else you got writing over there? You got
John Evans,
John Evans,
Christina Bucci, or actually Caprolozzi.
Cabralozzi.
She got married to Rob. So.
There we go.
Yeah, when did that happen?
I don't know, 20 years ago.
All right.
Rob Caprolozzi as well. Yeah.
So check that website out.
Yeah,
It's
that
awesome.
guy Rob. That guy that did a movie. You know,
They did a movie.
Fuck that guy. Yeah.
And check out
guy.
Rob's movie. We said it. We might as well just give it a plug now. Halloween in a Box.
Halloween in a Box on Amazon.
On Amazon. It's not that time of the year anymore, but you know what? It's
Doesn't matter.
Interesting movie, a good little documentary, and check it out. And Lloyd, why don't you say the magical words?
See ya.
Bam.
It's over, Johnny. It's over! Nothing is over! Nothing! You just don't turn it off!